Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. Um, just have to start by saying how grateful we are here at Codify for the Show Me Network. It's a really awesome thing that we're doing, and we'll talk more about that here in a minute, just the power of this network, because what we're going to be talking about today is our Joplin Vibeathon. And it's because of this network that Vibeathon was able to happen. And what you'll see today is not only what we did in Joplin, but you'll see how we can do this in your communities. And so I'm really excited to be here, really excited to present what happened in Joplin and show you a pathway for how we can bring this to your community. And then ultimately, at the end, you'll see how we're not done in Joplin. What we did with the Vibeathon in Joplin is just one step in a much larger and massively impactful project. So, the lineup today, I'm Charles Elliott, the VP of Strategic Growth here at Codify. We also have Crystal Owens on. She'll be talking as well. She's our Startup Program Director. We have Kevin Kurtner. He's our VP of Innovation, and Jody Chaffin, our Chief Venture Officer. All of us were involved in the Vibeathon, and so each of us are going to talk about our different areas of contribution there that weekend. Okay, so again, we're going to talk about what led up to the Joplin Vibeathon. We're going to talk about how it's an adaptable model for every Missouri community, including yours. And as always, we like to remind people that we build better things together. So, what is a Vibeathon? Vibeathon is the modern hackathon. It's where anyone, and that's the key element, anyone can now build software using AI. So where did this term Vibeathon come from? It's something that's called vibe coding. If you haven't heard about it, it's basically prompting AI agents to generate code. And so because you can use normal language, just like you would chat into Chat GPT or Gemini, anyone can do it. So it's accessible to all skill levels. So it makes it really exciting because, as you'll see in some of the success stories we had, it was astounding who ended up winning the first place prizes at the Joplin Vibeathon. So, as you know, our mission is to eliminate the skills and opportunity gaps that keep people from thriving in the tech innovation space throughout Missouri. And everything that we're going to talk about today, the Vibeathon itself, the tools that we used, that we've built, Traction Studio, and our training are all free to everyone throughout Missouri because of grants and donors. So anything that we talk about today is going to be available to you and your community. All right, so the Show Me Network. You should be incredibly proud to be a part of this network because without you, we can't do what we do with the Vibeathon. We can't get Traction Studio plugged into the people who need it in your community. And so we need what you provide, which is the local infrastructure for this innovation. We need you to help service real regional problems like what we'll talk about that we did in Joplin. And so I really hope that what we go over today is inspiring and exciting to you because we need you in your community to help make all of our programs and all of our innovation possible throughout the entire state. Joplin is a model for what could be replicated in your community. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jody, who will talk about what led up to the Vibeathon and how it went, and take it from here, Jody.
All right, thanks, Charles. Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
No, go ahead.
Okay, to get a bit of echo on our end. All right, well let's start with, why Vibeathon and why now? And it's really all about the impact AI is having and how it has really compressed the distance between, having an idea and creating like working software. So what used to take, months and months and tens of thousands of dollars to build can be pretty much designed out and built just in a matter of days, if not hours. But really, it's with any tool, AI is just another really cool tool. It all comes down to people. And the people understanding the problems and what really their impact is what makes the biggest impact in the situation. And that's really where the Vibathons come into play. So they're essentially, like Charles described, it's kind of like a hackathon for anyone, but it's also kind of an AI powered entrepreneurial competition where, anyone, regardless of technical background, can learn how to vibe code. They can build a working prototype and tackle real problems in their community. So this is how, we help people learn fast, build right, and gain traction. So next slide, what is a Vibathon and what is vibathon.us? And it's really our statewide platform for delivering these competitions. So each one of the Vibathons will combine like fast, accessible education on vibe coding. In the one in Joplin, Kevin went in an hour before the event started and trained people who had never even heard of vibe coding, didn't know what it was about, got them ready to compete. It's a 2 or 3 day build out of the software, and we provide mentorship and guidance all along the way. And then in the case of Joplin, we judge the 31 submissions that were submitted and gave out $20,000 in prize money. But the most important thing really is just the pathway to the next steps of the Missouri founder journey. So teaching people how to go from idea to working software. So it's designed for an aspiring founder, for creative folks, for students, people wanting to change their career, really anyone who wants to build something meaningful. On the next slide here, it's, why Joplin? Why did you start in Joplin? We get that question a lot, but we really chose Joplin because we're already engaged with the Joplin Regional Alliance for Healthcare and Health Science, JRAW, and we've been working with them to identify healthcare related problems in the Joplin region. And as part of that, then once we identified the problems, we used the Vibathon to figure out how we could potentially solve those through technology. Next slide. So, Traction Studio then is the tool that Charles mentioned that we've been building. And how did it really play into this? Well, so we used AI to kind of identify what are the real problems facing a region like Joplin, kind of a smaller community, more rural focused. And what came out of that research plus kind of canvassing the Joplin market was three problems that we decided that were the highest priority to solve. One is frictionless scheduling. So if you've ever tried to schedule an appointment with your doctor, I'm waiting right now for someone to call me and tell me when they're rescheduling me. I have an appointment Thursday that they canceled, but they won't tell me when I can come back in. So it'd be great to have a solution like this. The second one is financial navigation. I don't know about you, but I've had to have a major test done one time, and it was kind of like a stress test. And when they told me what it was going to cost, I almost had a heart attack right there. And so when I was on the exercise equipment, and they kept saying we can't, you're doing fine. I was like, well, if I survived what the lady at the front desk said, there's nothing you could do to me. So being able to know, really what you're going to pay before you engage, really helps people understand their health options. And then referral and care navigation. So it really comes down to you go to the doctor, and if there's anything else that needs to be done, it's never a one-stop situation. And you need to go to specialist or be referred. And a lot of times that's where people fall out of the system. I know personally, I had to have an MRI scheduled one time, and it was so painful to try to get it scheduled. I finally just decided to skip it. And that's the kind of thing where you have patient leakage that costs the health systems a lot of money, but it also reduces the overall health of the region. So these weren't theoretical problems. Like I described, I've been impacted by all three of these things myself, and that's what we found when we interviewed people both on the healthcare side and the customer side in Joplin. So we used Traction Studio really once we had these three ideas to take it through and validate, is this really truly a desirable solutions that people would want? Is it viable? Is it something that could turn into money? What's the TAM, SAM, sum, of these potential problems if we create a software around them? And then how feasible are they? Can the software that exists today actually solve the problems? And so that's really where Traction Studio came in, and we took it through the Traction Studio process, and then we were able to hand all the artifacts that Traction Studio creates to the vibe coders. So that gave them a huge jump start to be able to define, and understand what they were going to be building solutions for. So our goals for the Vibeathon were really straightforward. For Joplin, we wanted to create, real prototypes that could potentially improve healthcare operations locally. And, we're not really stopping with potentially improving either. We'll share more about where all this fits in the big picture, coming up in the future. But it's really cool where this is headed. For participants, we wanted to give them a first experience in building with AI and seeing, for themselves as founders or innovators. So be a part of the solution. And then finally, for the Show Me Network, we wanted to test a model that could scale across all Missouri communities. Like Charles said, we could reproduce, this same method anywhere around any problem set. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Crystal.
Thank you, Jody. Can everyone hear me okay? I get a thumbs up. Oh, shoot. Okay. Um, oh, Lisa gave me a thumbs up. Okay, I'm having some speaker issues. People can hear me? Okay, good. Thank you. I want to echo what Jody said. This event wouldn't have been possible without our partners at JRAW. And I think that is a huge component of success moving forward for future Vibeathons is really having a strong local partner that we can rely on who understands, the local catering and the venues and all of that that would make this event possible. Um, and I'll also say, from concept to running this event, we had about 6 to 8 weeks. And if there's one thing about Codify that you all may have, taken to by now is that we try to walk the walk and not just talk the talk when it comes to experimentation and going from idea to validation quickly. And so this first Vibeathon was a great example of that, where, we had, it seemed like we needed to strike while the iron was hot, with vibe coding being such a pervasive part of the conversation in tech right now. And we really wanted to create an accessible and positive event that folks with no tech background could come to and have a positive experience. And I really think that we were able to do that. So we hosted this event at Missouri Southern State University in Joplin. It included a sort of welcome kickoff, hurrah, get everyone excited. We did, like Jody said, the AI vibe coding training for those who were interested. And then we really dove into the 3 healthcare challenges with some local experts on the ground who could talk about like what these problems were, along with Jody, to help our participants try to get a better understanding of what they were trying to solve. We had a ton of food, way too much sugar and energy drinks, but it really was a perfect environment for creativity, a little bit of chaos, and some amazing outcomes by the end. So Jody spoke to this a little bit as well, but we did recruit about 120 interested folks with pre-registration, and we ended up with about 47 folks on the ground for our first event, which we were thrilled with. And by the end of this event, we had 31 submitted solutions for judgment. So with a small but mighty team, we definitely had our hands full on day 2 trying to judge all of these solutions. And it included a diverse background. So there were some developers, we had some students from across the state, we had some healthcare experts, and yeah, the folks had under 24 hours to build their solution. And by the end, we had given out $20,000 in prizes. As far as like the types of people that showed up, we had some father-son teams. So there were some parent-child relationships. We had, again, tech professionals, some creatives, and we had a few people who were like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just kind of curious, like what this whole thing is about. But they really had a positive attitude. And I think the spirit of the event was curiosity and willingness to learn and really put yourself out there under this immense pressure to try to win some money. So it was a lot of fun. One thing that we keep saying that I think is changing the game with AI and vibe coding is that context beats credentials. So you can go ahead to the next slide there, Charles. But in our 3 first place winners, 2 out of the 3 teams or participants were non-technical people. So they did not have any tech background or tech training. They were new to vibe coding, they were new to AI. And, they attended the training in the morning, and by the next day, they had won $5,000 each for their first place solution. So, the woman pictured here, Denise Wortman, she was one of our first place winners, and she was a solo team, so she didn't have anyone else on her team. She created a scheduling concept designed to reduce no-shows and match patients with availability faster. And she was a mom of nine. She had no idea how to vibe code when she showed up. She had kind of been dabbling with AI, but not really understanding the coding aspect at all. But she really understood the heart of the problem really well, because as a mom of nine, if you can imagine trying to schedule for your nine kids' healthcare appointments, she really understood what the assignment was and what needed to happen for that solution. Another first place winner was a participant from Springfield. He also had no programming experience or background, and he developed a financial navigation solution to help patients understand their costs before feeling overwhelmed. And again, we were like floored that this was the outcome, because that's what we were hoping would happen, is that some non-technical people could come and be part of the landscape here. And then our third category of first place winner was a team that had never used vibe coding tools before. They did have a little bit of a technical background, but they actually built a referral navigation tool to help patients get connected to the right provider and stay on track. So it really does show that, like, people in rural communities and smaller communities who aren't as exposed to tech or maybe don't have the tech background, this really changes the game for them as far as opportunities and what they're able to do.
So what we really wanted to happen during this Vibeathon was that people would develop actual prototypes and not just pitches or ideas. And AI really made that possible, not just for those who are already developers, but for those who had no development experience, like Crystal was saying. And so even the first time AI coders and even some people who were first time into healthcare, maybe they had some development background, but they could actually build something on a working prototype. And so we had them deliver a working prototype in the end, all their code they delivered to us, as well as a demo video and some description about their project. And while we were doing that, through the whole process, we had to give them some training. There was an AI training course at the beginning that I ran. And then throughout the time, I would go around and check in on people and make sure that they were getting everything they needed, everything was working right. And and every once in a while, they would come to us with some questions, maybe about the specific challenge or about how they were supposed to deliver the prototype and whatnot. But in the end, we had, first time builders shipping real software code. So that was pretty awesome. Um, some key learnings that we had, our goal was to really have this local impact. And historically, software is really hard to do, so we can't just let everybody do it. But now with AI, it kind of lowers the playing field and democratizes like who can actually build. And another thing with AI is the speed that you can develop at. So if you even have development background, you can develop much more features in this 24-hour period than your typical hackathon pre-AI. And so we learned that, the rural talent is ready to go and they just need this opportunity. They need people to ask them for their help and their ideas. And what we found is that we had some really strong solutions come out because we actually had those validated problems in the beginning and we had the local partnerships to make it work. So we're really confident and excited to take this across all Missouri. Part of the future of Vibeathon as we spread it across Missouri is it's not just about riding the vibes and going with this hype cycle of vibe coding, but we actually want to create successful startups, tech startups, and we want to empower more people to become business owners, tech founders in that sense. But there are gaps and pitfalls along the way. There's no like single pathway for everyone to go through. And so Vibeathon is kind of like everyone's, they get their feet wet and kind of give it a test run. And then Codify has some uh, grant funded training that is AI focused, building products in with AI and how to scale those products. And then with Traction Studio, they can take those product ideas and actually validate them and see what the market is saying. Is it worthwhile pursuit? And they can build it out fully to a more MVP status. And then after that, they can participate in our Ready to Raise program, which can help get them ready for funding from actual investors. And so from just introduction to I think I want to try this out, all the way through I'm getting investor funding, we want to create that pathway for them the whole way, and it's free from Missouri founders. Um, so we want to repeat this across all of Missouri and not just in healthcare, but in other industries as well, like agriculture and manufacturing, and really any sector that has real problems. And every local place would have real problems that are worth solving. And those that know them best are going to be those local participants. And so when we have access to networks like the Show Me Network, it really helps us spread those Vibeathon events out and to reach those local impacts. But I'm sure you're interested in how to get connected. And for that, I'm going to send it back to Charles.
Thanks, Kevin. So, how can you plug in? This is where we need you. We need your help. We need to be able to um, find partners such as yourself that can help us find industries or corporate partners that we can do what we did with JRAW, where we can find those local problems that would be a good problem set to build a Vibeathon around. So if you can help connect us with an industry in your area, kind of like the healthcare industry or the agriculture industry or the manufacturing industry, or maybe you have a bank that you're well connected with. We could do something in fintech. We need you to help us find someone who can help us source problem sets to build prototypes around. We need people that can help us host the Vibeathon, that can help with coordinating the logistics of the day and the things that it's difficult for us to do from a distance. So if you can help us with a location, with promoting it in the local area to bring participants in that can learn vibe coding, that's where we need your help. So I told you earlier, we're not done in Joplin. And this, I think, is probably the most exciting part of the whole project that we're working on is the Vibeathon was just a step in a larger process. We're in the stages right now of actually building out those prototypes into MVPs. And we're working on building them out in such a way that we can actually spin up real companies in Joplin, companies that can solve these real problems that we've identified to help real people with their scheduling, with their costing, with moving referrals around in that healthcare system. And not only that, but not just solving the problems, but building companies that can hire people locally to build businesses that really impact the local economy. And so that's why I say in the beginning, this is a huge thing that we're doing together as part of the Show Me Network, and that we would love for you to help us build out in your community so that more people can have more access to more opportunity. So for that, or with that, I'll open it up for questions and answers. Unless there are no questions.
So if somebody is interested in doing this, who do we contact?
You can contact me, Charles
Okay.
at codifyworks.com.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Crystal. It's in the chat. Any other questions?
Hi, Charles. This is Veronica Kern. I wanted to quickly ask a question if you can hear me okay.
I can hear you just fine.
Is anyone planning or is there discussions in the Cape Girardeau area to, I know Vibeathon is a very competitive event to host more context or education sessions for the community about vibe coding.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so we do have plans for a Vibeathon in the Cape area. And then there's also one that we're talking about doing in the St. Joseph area. And we've got some interest in St. Louis area. So those are the three places that we have upcoming announcements to be made. So I'd say keep an eye on our website, and we'll keep you abreast of updates as they become available. But yeah, we're looking at those three places next and trying to fill out a nice full schedule for 2026.
That was going to be my question, Charles. Did James talk to you about St. Joseph? So I know that we talked about some dates. I just wanted to make sure that you knew.
Yes, yeah, and I believe that's we're close on finalizing those dates, but not quite ready to lock it and announce it yet.
Okay, so if I need to work with you from now on to get that set up, will you let me know?
Sure, yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay.
All right. Well, if you have any questions or any other thoughts or ideas that come up as you percolate on this, please reach out. Otherwise, keep an eye on our website, the Show Me Network website, and the Vibeathon website, and we'll be sending news and updates as it becomes available. Thank you all so much for being here.